The Josh Dobbs thing is starting to really impress me. I mean, my goodness. Where did this come from? Where did Joshua Dobbs come from? I mean, we know where he came. He was career backup with the Steelers. He was a backup with the Browns at one point. I think he played a few snaps with the Browns, didn't start a game though. Then he goes to the Tennessee Titans last year, goes 0-3, loses them the division, misses the playoffs by one game. He had a chance to beat the Jaguars in the last week of the season to punch their ticket to the playoffs and lost that game. And then he signs with the Cardinals 2 weeks before the beginning of the season. He goes 1-7, gets traded, and since he's been to Minnesota, he has been money. This week, Joshua Dobbs, 23 for 34, 268 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. On the ground, he rushed for 44 yards, 8 carries, scored another touchdown, and led the team to a 27-19 win at home against the Saints. So the Vikings have won 5 games in a row. They were 1-4, and they are now 6-4. That is impressive. Objectively so. And they've done it without Justin Jefferson. They're going to get Justin Jefferson back potentially next week. TJ Hawkinson continues to impress. He went for 134 yards on Sunday. Jordan Addison stepping up. Brendan Powell playing well. I mean, it's everybody. Everybody on the Vikings has stepped it up when it mattered most. Harrison Smith is playing really well. They've got Danielle Hunter, who has been incredible. It's the whole team. And it's very impressive. Because I thought I was about ready to count the Vikings out for the year. I did not think that they had any shot as soon as Kirk Cousins went down. And the fact that they've won 2 games without Kirk, it is quite astounding. The Vikings beat the Saints this week. New Orleans at 5-5. They were just starting to get into their own rhythm. But Derek Carr goes down with an injury. Jameis Winston comes in and impresses. He puts on a show. 2 touchdowns. He did throw 2 picks, though. But Jameis Winston had a good game. Taysom Hill didn't do very much. This is the first game in a while that he hasn't been involved. But I was impressed to see what Jameis Winston could do. And in the battle of backups, Winston against Josh Dobbs is the one that comes out on top. Good for him. Really, seriously, good for him. But you look at the Vikings schedule, and just kind of seeing where do we think they can keep getting some of these wins. They're 6-4 right now. They play Denver next week at Denver. Denver's won 3 in a row. The Vikings have won 4 in a row. I think I actually would take the Broncos to win that. I think Denver has a good chance of winning that. Denver's been rolling. So I'm going to say the Vikings fall to 6-5. But then I think they beat the Bears. They'll be 7-5. After the bye, they go to Las Vegas. That is an interesting game. 7-5 Minnesota Vikings team against a Raiders team that at that point will be coming off of a bye as well. And they'll be coming off of what I think will be, they're 5-5 right now. They're going to lose their next 2 because they play the Dolphins and Chiefs. So it's going to be the 7-5 Vikings visiting the 5-7 Raiders. I think the Raiders could win that game. I think O'Connell has, there's some talent in Aiden O'Connell. I think the Raiders win at home. Then the Vikings play at Cincinnati. That's going to be another loss. So all of a sudden, the Vikings are 7-7. Staring down Detroit, Green Bay, Detroit to finish their season. I think they would beat Detroit once, and I think they might beat Green Bay. I'm not sure. Green Bay would be tough, but the Vikings, I think either 8 or 9 wins is what I would put them at. And I think 9 wins gets you in the playoffs in the NFC. I think 8 wins might get you in the playoffs in the NFC. So if I'm a Vikings fan, I'm feeling pretty good. I don't think they would win a playoff game because then they would end up playing they would either have to play at Detroit or at Philadelphia or at San Francisco. I don't think they would win in that game, but I will say, if they play at Detroit, it's possible. Anything's possible. Meanwhile, the Saints, looking at the rest of their schedule, they are 5-5. They have a bye. After the bye, they play the Falcons, Lions. I think they can beat the Falcons. I actually think they could upset Detroit as well. The Panthers is a winnable game. The Giants, a very winnable game. The Rams is very winnable. The Buccaneers, very winnable. And then the Falcons again. So the Saints, I mean, they only play one more team that's above 500, which is Detroit. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 6 games against losing teams. 6 of their last 7 games are against losing teams. But they did lose to the Bucks earlier in the season. And, the Panthers and the Falcons are definitely scrappy. The Rams are scrappy. They're not going to win all of them. But I think the Saints, they're 5-5 right now. They're going to finish with a winning record this year. And I think they're going to be the only team in the South that's going to finish with a winning record this year. Which means the Saints are going to be in the playoffs as well. I think they're going to be the 4 seed. I've been saying this all year. I think they're the most complete team in the South. I think they're the best team in the South. Whether it's Carr at quarterback, or whether it's Jameis at quarterback, or whether it's Taysom Hill at quarterback. So that's my prediction. I think both of these teams, Saints and Vikings, are both playoff teams. And isn't that an interesting thing to think about?